Hello, quite a while ago, and first I make in English, later in Dutch, and I don't have much time, but let's make another video about my scooter. I learned quite a bit. Uh, it's adjusted very well. That means by the air fuel mix, by adjusting the air filter housing, but also setting the air screw. It now does great when it's dry weather, but when there is rain, it's a little bit slow. And it shows me how sensitive it all is to weather changes. It does 1 liter about 46 kilometers, so it's quite good. Um, the battery was at its end, so I had to buy a new battery. That's put in yesterday, and the amazing thing I learned is when you adjust the scooter to right uh, power, so to say, it's not just a mix of fuel and air ratio that it's right at its peak, the best spot of where's the good mix. That power is not just most, but where you adjust it. I noticed that when you adjust an engine, I don't know for sure if this is right, but that's what I noticed. When you adjust it around um, 7,200, I noticed that if you got no, my scooter has 50 cc. So then it should have about 5 horsepower. Yeah. Or HP. Yeah. When it is about 6,000 RPM, big chance it drops to three and a half, 4 horsepower. When you go to about 9,000 or 10, you're almost gonna get a half of what you normally got added. So 5 horse powers, about 7,200 RPM. When you are around 9,000 RPM, we should talk about 7 PK or HP. And I was like, okay, then I want my RPM adjusted higher. But I need a mix of fuel and air to be able to carry it there. I mean, if there is not enough going through, it can't push it till there. I mean, the transmission, the vario, and the clutch, and the belt, it all has to carry it to the rear wheel. The mix in the cylinder, and where it all happens, does need to provide power to, well, transmit the whole power to the rear wheel so you can make the speed and have the power. I mean, it's torque, and the torque throws, so to say, the horsepowers to the top speed. A lot of it I learned by PFI speed on YouTube and by figuring out how it works. So I adjusted my rollers in the Vario so it can reach almost the right RPM. I want to make it a bit lighter, 6.5 gram to 6.3. But the thing is that when I noticed that when soon it's gonna rain, so let's say in 1 2 hours it will rain, the air is still dry enough, and well, it flies, makes the RPM, and it just goes. But when the rain is close or it is raining, so the water takes up on the space for the air, so it can breathe less. Immediately, I noticed that it sort of says, I have power, I have strength, but I can't make what I just did when the air was dry. So when it gets drier, it should even get more RPM. Because when it's colder, the fuel but also the air gets thicker. But when there is rain and it's cold, that means there is way thicker fuel, but less air. Even if the air in the cold is thicker, it's still less air in the rain. So then I'm like, I can make the RPM by lighter roll weights, but yeah, it needs to make all the RPM to get there. And if it can't get there, it can't push the belts, the distance out of the vario and distance in of the clutch to get that speed. So you're lacking about 5 kilometers per hour easy when it can bring up all the speed. And with lighter weights, it's like lower gearing. So, but if it can't really manage to work well, seeing the mixture is not right, it can push and push and push and push, but you simply need to, yeah, all the circumstances to be right. So then I'm not sure if it's good to make the rollers lighter. And yeah, when the scooter is not warm yet, I noticed that it can't yet make all the RPM. So in the first 2 3 kilometers, I noticed that the scooter is becoming more and more alive. And even with startup, when I ride off, it's all noticing like because I made the rollers lighter, so it has to gear up, but it's not warm yet, so the top speed isn't there. In that whole story, then I don't think it's wise to make the rolls lighter, seeing it really needs to warm up to do good. And already I noticed that halfway the road, and then it shows the power, then it shows the speed. And the air screw for the lower RPM, for the lower speeds, does not really make an appearance. It does not really show its work, seeing all is adjusted for higher RPM. So, as it is now, for me it's perfect. When it's rain, it has less power, but when the air is dry, wow. I mean, if I see the size of the variator of a Kimco and this, too much difference. Like, yeah, I can't really show. let's say Vario of Kimco is 10 centimeters and of the seam is like 15 in diameter. So yeah, such a different size that I'm like, wow, it does have a lot of power. How? I'm not sure. But the adjustment of the fuel air ratio, the roller weights at right points, the iridium spark plug, also too much difference between normal spark plug and that. So yeah, I'm really happy about that. The decompression hose is still great. I did know at oil scene maintenance by the dealership is coming soon. Seen some things at the scooter I simply can't do, so they have to. And so the little oil I have, I thought, let's check how much is still in. It did burn a bit, but yeah, I let it work more. So I threw on the not all oil. I didn't get all out. I thought I'd take some out so the oil is a little bit fresher, better. So that I did. New battery is in. Do I want a bigger jet? I don't know. One on 1 liter, 46 kilometers. This power, this speed, it's great. I can almost easy pull up with the cars, so why should I go for more? I always do want better, but at some moment you gotta stop. I mean, you can't get a 10, it's often a 7 or a 8, so be happy with that. And yeah, so all the adjustments till now, I'm really happy. It's really good. So the compression house, air filter housing adjusted for air. Air screw is quite a bit out. It needed a lot of air. Iridium spark plug. Did I do something more? No. It has a new battery now, but uh, yeah, that's it. It's great. Do we have more updates? Not really. My working hours are not always the same, so often I'm very tired. Seeing the autism that bothers me fills up all the information and it needs to be stored. So I'm often tired then, and when going home, I'm happy that can drive safe. So then taking the seat out to film the scooter itself isn't exactly where I get the energy then for. So till I can make a movie outside, it's this an update. And both valves of the carburetor, I got the hoses off. Hoses blocked with screws in it, so they don't work. So it's basically by that normal carburetor acceleration pump disabled. Yeah. Idle I do have a bit high. When it's really warm, the rear wheel does spin. Not very fast, but it does spin. But I notice it needs to get warm just in idle, and when it rains, it does slow down quite a bit. So the scooter does like high RPM, not just for riding, but also for in idle. So yeah, I hope that helps a lot. I hope you enjoy this information. And yes, I understand I do come over a bit weird seeing how I talk, seeing my brain has to many, yeah, thinking, processing it all. So, yeah, I hope I told all I needed to tell, and I hope it's all useful. And have a very good day, and bye.